Hey there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be your main theme for 2026 reading. I am going to do some deeper 2026 readings after this one, but for now, we're focusing on the main theme of the year. You have this toxic triggers card. It says, find the strength to remove yourself from toxic influences. You have a strategy card that says, plan, scheme, strategize your future, and take the next right actions in your life. So yes, definitely a good time to remove toxic triggers. Everybody in the month of December had these cards of kind of like the devil, things like that. So there is a devil energy in December, especially around the second week, which I think is the week of the 8th. And so, definitely something I would be careful of. And so, I would avoid toxic things, toxic influences, toxic people, all that other stuff. And probably for the entire year wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, it's always a good idea, but I think it's an extra good idea for you this year. And some of these cards are upside down. I don't read reversals. I read intuitively. So there we go. But your first card, I'm doing a Celtic cross. Normally, the first card would represent how you are entering into the reading, but what for my intention for this set of readings is that the first card is going to be your main theme for the year, and you have the Magician. And so you could be a magician this year for sure. And again, Pluto just entered your sign this year, 2025. So, it's really going to start picking up steam. The other thing is that in 2025, Pluto went retrograde. So it went almost to the very beginning. It was like 1.12 degrees of Aquarius that Pluto retrograded back to. So now in 2026, it's really going to start moving forward past the beginning of Pluto and Aquarius. And so you have a great opportunity to kind of really reinvent yourself at this time. And it's obvious with Pluto in your sign that would be the focus probably for many years to come for you here, Aquarius. I am getting influence is the word that's popping into my head. And you do have some cards here like the Empress, the Six of Wands, even the Three of Wands. But, the Empress and the Six of Wands are really cards of standing out and getting attention. So I feel that your main theme for 2026 is going to be influence, gaining power, which again makes sense with Pluto and Aquarius. I feel that you have developed a lot of tools over the years that you can use to make this happen. He has mastery over all the suits in the tarot. These are all the ace versions right here of all the suits. And so he needs to make sure that he is using the right tool for the job, whatever it is that he's trying to accomplish. And so I feel a lot of you are also kind of focused on using your tools to become more of an influence. And again, this doesn't mean you're becoming an influencer. It could, it would be a great time for that, for sure, Aquarius, if that's what you want to do. But, you can have influence over your family, your friends, groups of people at your job. It could be influence in any sense of the word. And I feel that's what's coming in here for you. Your crossing energy is the Five of Pentacles, so you need to tell yourself you're good enough. I think with the Tower and the area of your thoughts, which we'll talk about in a minute, that you need to get away from that disaster thinking. I definitely feel it's like you and Pisces, both of you, it's kind of funny to me that you both get the, what I would call disaster thinking or whatever you want to call it, where, things could be going well, but you're expecting a disaster or you're thinking that there's going to be some sort of disaster. Five of Pentacles is weakness. It's a card that says, do not call attention to your weaknesses. Make sure you're focusing on your strengths. So there might be some things going on that make you feel like you can't, do what you want to do or, can't have an influence. But, the funny thing that's also popping into my head for you, Aquarius, is that a lot of the things that you think you can't share are exactly what you need to share to stand out in the first place. This is very Uranus and Gemini as well. Uranus will move back into Gemini in the springtime of 2026. I think it's April. Don't quote me on that. And, when Uranus moves back into Gemini, it's, the people that are going to stand out are the people that are rebellious, the people that kind of go against the grain or the people that aren't afraid to speak up. We also have Saturn moving back into Aries in February. So Saturn in Aries is very loud. We have to be loud. We have to, get attention and all those other things. So definitely something to think about. We definitely want to be loud in the right ways. We will see lots of people being loud in the wrong way, right? We don't want to just be a jerk, obviously. We have to make an impact in a positive way, and that's, what we should be doing. Again, in the area of your thoughts, you have the Tower. Like I said, I think this is disaster thinking. This part of the reading literally represents what's on your mind. And so some of you could be worried that if you do something, it's going to lead to a disaster. I really just feel it's thinking. I don't think anything is going to happen. It's a very positive reading. This is the only really challenging card that you have. The rest of the reading looks pretty positive. And we'll see what happens when we clarify. But, the Tower is about accepting reality. These people are coming down to reality. They've been trying to ignore reality for a long time. And now the universe is forcing them to see things as they really are. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I do feel like there could be some realities that you are facing. I feel there are two people on this card, and I do feel this could involve other people or a person, just one other person. It feels like work to me. So again, maybe that you're having a problem with your boss or people you work with, and this could be you admitting the reality that what you're doing isn't working, or that you can't work with a certain person. I feel like some of you could also be seeing the people that keep you stuck as well, and so I think it's kind of like a little bit of awakening is what I want to spit out here. It's like maybe you're realizing that certain people are stuck, and therefore, if you spend a lot of time with them, they are keeping you stuck, and you could be trying to kind of remove yourself from those situations, which is good. Next, in the area of your foundation, you have the Queen of Pentacles. Pretty good card for your foundation. Again, I'm not so sure how I feel about money moving forward, just in general, because Neptune is leaving Pisces. I've been saying since 2016 that basically in 2026, when Neptune leaves Pisces, we will see some sort of change financially. And I wouldn't even try to predict it, because I think Neptune and Pisces is unpredictable. So who the hell knows what's going to happen? But money looks pretty good, for you with the Queen of Pentacles here. Could say that you're finding resources and you're tapping into resources. And again, I think we all, money could be fine, but the Queen of Pentacles wants us to think about how we can do things without money as well. And again, that doesn't mean that you won't have money. It just says, instead of, again, I think it's really important that, like, if you're going to start a business, for example, can you, even if you have the money to spend on it, can you bootstrap it? Can you do it without money, right? I think it's a great time to prove that something is going to work before you do it, right? And so how can you do that? I don't know. I don't know what you are all working on, but it's definitely something I would think about. Like, if you're launching a business, it's like, can you test it before you do it, is the question. And the answer is yes, by the way. But, you're going to have to do your research on how you can do that. Next, in your past position, you have this Treasure Island card and this Fates card. Again, I feel pretty good about this. That didn't work. I feel pretty good about this because it's almost like something is becoming real. Maybe something has been a dream for you for a long time. But that Fates card is one of my favorite cards in this deck. It kind of says that something fated or something that's meant to be is happening for you. And so something could be coming from a dream to a reality here. And I definitely get that feeling. What I would say is, I knew, I should have said it at the beginning of the reading, but I knew you would get like an expansive card in this reading. You have the Three of Wands as your outcome, which is expansion. You have the Four of Pentacles in your past, which is constriction, which is kind of like staying in one position. We'll talk about it, but I knew that it would be a very expansive time where you are probably expanding towards like your fate, your destiny, something like that. Again, you have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, he's kind of like limiting himself. He's holding on to what he has. I always say, like, Four of Pentacles isn't terrible, but it's just a card that is a signal to you that you could have more, or you could create more, or you could build more in your life. And that's really what we have to do with the Four of Pentacles. He's holding on too tightly to the past, but if he were to let go, he would be able to create something new. The problem with the Four of Pentacles is the in-between time. It's like he's letting go of something that does support him, and there's like a little bit of time where he's not supported because he's building something new. And, that's always the challenge with the Four of Pentacles. It's coming up in the past, so you've probably already decided to start working towards building something new. And, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. Next, in the area of the very near future, you have this card that says your hard work is paying off, which is amazing. You also have this card that says it's time to take action. Yes. So I feel with whatever you've been working on that you could start seeing results pretty quickly in 2026. I feel like right away, pretty much. Is this going to be amazing results? No. But again, I said it to... I don't remember who I said it to. It might have been Capricorn last week, but we're like in a time of jelly beans. where it's like we're following a trail of jelly beans, not to the witch's house, but to something great, right? And so it's like maybe we're not having these like big, huge wins right now at the beginning of the year, but they are leading, they are basically the steps that we're taking to get to the big win, if that makes sense. And so I would make sure that you're like celebrating your wins, celebrating those tiny little wins, and, kind of looking at the results. Also in the very near future, you have the Empress, which is amazing. Definitely could be increasing your abundance or working on abundance in your life. The Empress, I think this is going to be very important for you, is simplification. This was a big theme for you in 2025, and I think it will continue for many years. Pluto and Aquarius is very innovative. Uranus and Gemini is also very innovative, and you are an air sign, so you are going to be affected by that Uranus and Gemini more. And especially if you have Gemini in your chart, right? Like if you're a Gemini moon or rising or, whatever, and if you have a bunch of planets there, it's going to be more important. So we have to innovate everything that we're working on. We're going to see a ton of innovation, probably rapid growth during the next 20 years or so. But what I would say here is that on a personal level, that a great way to innovate is coming up with easier ways of doing the things that you're doing. And that's what I would really focus on with this Empress. The other thing I would focus on is definitely influence and expansion, right? Two key words that show up in your reading, but also show up with the Empress. She is expansive. She's creating a lot of abundance. She is also very influential. She is very attractive, so she gets a lot of attention, right? And so these are going to be very important things to focus on. Also, with the Tower, we have this waterfall behind the Empress that you can kind of see there. The waterfall is kind of tied to the Tower in the tarot. The waterfall represents chaotic force. We are entering into a time of chaos. I've been talking about it for years. It doesn't, like any of these things that happen in the world, I'm not surprised at all. It's like the time that we're in. So the whole point is that she does not allow external situations to affect her reality. No matter what is going on, she makes sure that she does things to control what she is working on. She does, the work that is right in front of her. She does what she can with what she's got, right? The Queen of Pentacles is exactly the same. Queen of Pentacles is the card of doing what you can with what you got right now in front of you, right? And so that is going to be very important for you, Aquarius. And, don't get distracted, basically. Next, in your outcome row, you have this training card. It says, you still have some new skills to acquire before you can really advance to the next stage of your career. I would continue learning. We'll talk about it because you have the Queen of Wands. You have this experiment. Yes, that probably the best thing you can do. When you find yourself feeling indecisive about which direction to go, don't be afraid to experiment with multiple options to figure out what works best for you. Yes, Pluto and Aquarius is, I talk about this all the time, Aquarius, how I am a big fan of experimentation. Just look at this channel. I run 1 million experiments every single month. So, and again, I think the results speak for themselves. So I think it's an amazing time for you to experiment and try new things. Next, in the area of the next few months, you have the Queen of Wands. I would say this is going to be until the next few months, we're going to say is until like March or April for you here, Aquarius. So that includes December. If you're watching this in December of 2025, we're going to say from December. And, I know that's more than a few months, but there you go, right? Till March or April. The Queen of Wands is the card of learning as you go. And you have this card that says you still have some new skills to acquire. I would be looking for skills to acquire if I were you, based off of your whatever you do, business, work, career. Even if you're retired, it could be like skills based off of a hobby or something you do for an interest or whatever. And I would pick one thing or pick something to learn, even if it seems like a little bit of a challenge. Again, she has a goal in mind. She has this sunflower right here. It points towards the sun. And she doesn't really know how she's going to get there, but she's willing to learn as she goes. And I would take advantage of that. The other thing that's popping into my head for you in 2026 here, Aquarius, is there could be opportunities for you to get a job that you're not really qualified for, but it's like maybe you kind of know how to do it and you could learn, right? So I don't know. Someone needs to hear that. Like if you're having a hard time getting a job, maybe you need to look for something that's like a little bit harder or where you're not exactly qualified, but maybe you kind of are at the same time, because I feel like you could easily figure out what you need to do. Next, in the area of your closest relationships, which is all relationships in your life, you have the Six of Wands. So, like I said, definitely you becoming more of an influence this year. That is your main focus for sure, is you being influential, you kind of using your influence in a positive way, of course. Again, you're really meant to be a guiding light with Pluto and Aquarius. That's where you're going to get your power. So just being a living example, trying your best, living your best life, all those things are going to be very important, and you're going to get a lot of attention because of it. This person here is meant to look jealous, and obviously if you're standing out, you're going to experience jealousy. Six of Wands says ignore it. This guy here, he knows he has nothing to prove, right? And so he doesn't even try, right? I said this to someone. I was speaking in Texas at an event, and that was one of the questions I got was like, how do I get my family to be more spiritual or whatever? I'm like, you don't. I'm like, you just live your best life, and they will naturally want to do it because they'll see the results you're getting, right? And that is kind of popping into my head with the Six of Wands, is that really it doesn't matter. You have nothing to prove, and you need to live your life that way from a spiritual perspective as well, because it will help you the most. Next, in the area of your future feelings, you have the Knight of Wands. Yeah, kind of funny. Do I feel bad about this? No. But I do feel like you feel like maybe this year, 2026, will be a year where you feel like you don't have a home. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you just feel like a little bit of a... I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but it's like you just feel like a little nomadic to me in the year of 2026. I actually think it could go a little bit longer, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you're moving or anything like that. I feel this is more general, like you're looking for a home, but that could be in your career, for example, or maybe you're looking for a purpose to lock into. And I kind of feel this energy of adventure and going on adventures. It's like you're trying to find some place to belong. And yeah, but I think this is a good thing. You should look at this as an adventure, as a journey, something that's fun, where you're kind of looking for a place to belong. Your outcome is the Three of Wands. Yes, again, definitely expansion. You're one of the few signs where I could say that I pretty much knew what your focus would be before we started, which is, expansion, like I said, and also, I think there's like a couple of things, being an influence as well, which is part of expansion. Obviously, if you're expanding, you're going to be more influential, of course. I think being strong, bold, fearless, those are also words that kind of pop into my head with the Queen of Wands and the Empress as well. And so embracing those energies and, being willing to go on adventures is going to be important. He has these boats on the water here, and they're pointing out of the harbor. And so they represent an opportunity for him to go places he's never been before. And, if I were an Aquarius, that's exactly what I would be doing. I'm an Aquarius rising. That is exactly what I'm doing. So I'm absolutely following this energy as well in 2026. And, I basically didn't travel at all in 2025. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I never stay in one place, right? I'm sure you've all seen the million places that I've recorded videos in. And so, it's kind of weird for me not to go anywhere, but 2026, that's definitely going to change, probably after March. So, that's what I'll say there. I'm a little bit hesitant to travel in 2025. I said this, I did a live for 2025 with Devin Dewar, and I literally said on her channel, I'm not getting on planes this year. And that day we had that first plane crash where the helicopter crashed into a plane. So, again, I've been avoiding travel, but that will change after March. So there you go. But I think that also for you, same thing. It's like after March, could be really going on adventures, traveling around, things like that. Like I said, this could be mental travel as well. Like if you're learning a new skill, like that card said, or building something, that's an adventure as well. So let's see. With the Magician and the Five of Pentacles, you have the Five of Wands. I do think you have to be careful of those things that people say to you, like people that tell you not to do things, people that tell you that are jealous, like we said on the Six of Wands. That could be like the one little thing that kind of gets you tripped up in 2025 if people are doubting you or whatever. So it might be a good time to just work in silence and let your results speak for themselves, as I said. With the Tower, you have the Ten of Swords. I don't know. I think we'll definitely see some sort of Tower moment at the end of 2025 in December. The week of the 8th is a little bit sketchy for sure. The second week of December, basically. The astrology is a little weird. And so, I don't know. Something could happen. I would stay focused. The Ten of Swords could just say you're entering into new reality. Ten of Swords says something is dead, done, over with. but he's making this symbol with his hand that is a blessing in disguise. So, if there is some sort of tower moment, in your personal life, it could be a blessing in disguise. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is a victory or a big success coming in for you, so love it. It's also a card of focus. We have to be laser-like focused with the Ace of Swords. I think that for the next several years at least, we have to be laser-like focused. We have all this energy going into Aries. We don't necessarily consider Aries to be focus, but, and sorry, as I'm talking about focus, I have something in my shirt that's like poking me. But what I would say here is that that Saturn and Aries, it like wants us to like focus on one thing and finish it. So I do feel this is a very collective vibe going on right now. But the sword is above the mountains. So, the sword above the mountains can represent overcoming an obstacle. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, it's like the end of hard work, basically. We're entering into a time, I believe, that is the end of hard work. We see AI taking over and things like that. There's definitely some negatives I think that could happen with that. I'm definitely not sold on AI. I definitely don't want the robots to take over. And, I have a lot of questions about that, for sure. So let me put that out there. But what I would say with the Ten of Wands is that at the same time, I think on a personal level, we can innovate the work that we're doing and we can make it simpler for us. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but we can definitely lighten the load. And so I think this is going to be a big focus for you, Aquarius. Again, not just this year, but for several years, you are probably going to be focused on lightening the load, simplifying, things like that. With the Empress, you have the Page of Cups. Again, I am going to do some deeper 2026 readings where we will look at things like love and stuff like that. That wasn't the intention for these readings, but there definitely could be a person that finds you attractive, and it could support, the main purpose of the reading, or, it could be a person who supports your influence, for example. So that could be why they're showing up in the reading. The Page of Cups, I would also say like until April-ish, somewhere around there, we are going to have a very dreamy vibe, where people are going to still be focused hard on their dreams and things they want to accomplish. So, until that time, you could be very focused on your dreams. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Four of Wands. Four of Wands, of course, can be marriage. So if you're attracting a person, it could be marriage potential. But like I said, I think with Saturn, especially in Aries, Neptune will also be there. We really have to commit to one thing. And so, I would ask you to commit to what you want to accomplish. The Four of Wands can also say that we have to kind of cross through a threshold. We have to cross this finish line right here, and we have to start something new in life, and we have to commit to it. So it's like, I've probably said to you before this year, 2025, that it's like star energy. We can't just dip our toes in the water if we're going to do something, and also kind of like temperance as well. We can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We have to be all in, right? And I do feel the Four of Wands is saying you need to be all in on something, probably something that is part of your destiny or your fate with that Fates card. With the Six of Wands, you have the Emperor. Definitely could be attracting an Emperor. I mean, it's coming up in the area of your closest relationships, which could be love as well, Aquarius. So if you're looking for love, you could be attracting an Emperor type person. This could also be you, just like I said, taking the lead and, being a person that people look up to. With the Knight of Wands, you have the King of Swords. King of Swords is knowledge and wisdom and learning a lot. So, this card says you still have some new skills to acquire. So, King of Swords is learning from a mentor or a person that you look up to, which I think is good for you. With the Three of Wands, you have the Three of Swords. Yeah, a little bit of sadness. I wouldn't be afraid of this if I were you, Aquarius. This is like when you get older and you realize that you don't enjoy something that you did when you were a kid, right? It's like that's what's popping into my head. Is that maybe some of you are at a stage in life where the things that you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy any longer. It's like, yeah, this could be bad if you stay in that energy. But I feel like the Three of Swords is saying, it's time to forgive the past, time to heal, and it's time to find new things that you can enjoy. And, this could be like hobbies, interests, things like that. So let's see. You have this fulfillment card. Yes, you need to find things that fulfill you, for sure. A couple of signs have been getting this, not necessarily in this set of readings, but just in general, where it seems to me like it's an important time for people to find something that fills them up, whatever it is. Could be like a hobby, an interest, could be a group of friends or people who support you. But I would have like an activity that you do that brings you fulfillment. It's almost like the more you can be in that energy, the more fulfillment you will attract, right? You have this influence card. It's kind of like a weird message. I feel like some of you are seeing like an influence. That influence may be a past connection. And so maybe that's where the heartbreak is coming in. It's like if someone ruined a past connection for you, you could be realizing that. I feel like that might only be for some of you. For others, I would definitely be careful of influences with the Six of Wands. It's like ultimately it's pretty simple. You need to be the influence, right? If you find other people like trying to make decisions for you, that's where you need to put up a boundary, and not just in love, all areas of your life. You have this friendship card. Yeah, like I said, I think that, I would, if I were you, I would find like one activity that fulfills you, that you can do that fills you up. I would find like a group of people or a person that fills you up, right? I think those two things would be very good, just so you have something to lean on this year. That the Knight of Wands. It's like I said, it's that like this nomadic feeling I get. It feels a little bit off balance, not like bad. It just sometimes I think we need something to lean on, right? And I would make sure you have that type of support. You have this egotism card. Yeah, I would be careful of people who have an ego. That could be the Tower. I feel like that is involving like a person or a group of people or work or something, and there could be ego issues. So definitely something I would be careful of. And you have this isolation card. I would definitely not a time to be isolated for sure, because you need to be an influence in the world. So I would make sure that you're getting out of the house. I also feel like there could be a person that's coming in for you that is pulling you out of isolation. So if you're attracting love, it could definitely be a person who's like the life of the party or something. But all in all, pretty simple here, Aquarius. I like it. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your year.